Gemini is known as the trickster, shapeshifter, or the clown. A trait of Gemini is that they can smile and laugh on the outside, but be crying on the inside, often dealing with both extremes of emotions at once, joking around, even if feeling upset on the inside. They can't help it, it's just who they are. This is not a bad thing, it just shows how deep they are. Gemini is known as the twins. Their positive traits can be witty, funny, intelligent, and they're highly social, although sometimes they get a bad rap for their negative traits. People say they're fickle, superficial, and unreliable. The word Gemini is a Latin word meaning the twins, and Gemini is the third sign of the zodiac, a mutable air sign ruled by planet Mercury. The twins are curious, love to talk, share, and explore. They're always learning new things, and they love to meet new people and share what they've learned. And planet Mercury rules the mind, thinking and learning. Gemini and Mercury signifies quick movements and talking fast in a very graceful kind of way. And Mercury is known as the messenger of the gods, a wise guide or teacher, learning, thinking, perceiving, reading and writing, and journalism, gathering knowledge and ideas, and sharing the information that they've learned with others. If you're wondering why Gemini is known as the twins, I'll show you. This is a picture of the Gemini Zodiac Constellation, and it's a picture of the twin stars known as Gemini, Castor on the right and Pollux on the left. And they're twin brothers. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about their background story and how they became the stars of the Gemini constellation. Let's go over a short explanation of what a zodiac constellation is. The word zodiac is a Greek and Babylonian word that means circle of animals. In a zodiac constellation, it's a pattern of stars in the night sky. The constellations are created by the joining together of individual stars. They form images that look like objects, animals, or they look like gods or heroes from Greek and Roman mythology. And this is a picture of the 12 original zodiac constellations. These were identified in ancient times, and later they were adopted by the Greek astronomer Claudius Ptolemy and the IAU, the International Astronomical Union. The astronomers divided the ecliptic, which is the yearly path where the Earth and planets travel around the sky. They divided that into 12 segments, 12 zodiac signs. And back to the Gemini constellation picture of Castor and Pollux. And this is a little bit of their history and how they became the stars in the Gemini constellation. According to Greek and Roman mythology, the twins, Castor and Pollux, were sons of Leda. The legend has it that the brothers were inseparable and never argued, and that they looked identical even though they had different fathers. And there's many different versions of this story, and you might found different information, but this is what I found. Their mother, Leda, was the queen of Sparta. Castor's father was named Tyndareus. He was a mortal man who was the king of Sparta. And Pollux, also known as Polydeuces, was the divine son of Zeus, an immortal, and he was known as the king of the gods, also called god of the sky. In astrology, Zeus is associated with Sagittarius, which is the opposite sign of Gemini. Leda became impregnated by the immortal Zeus while she was visited by Zeus, who was in the form of a swan at the time. And together the brothers were known as the Dioscuri, the Greek word meaning sons of Zeus. Castor was a horse trainer, and Pollux was a great boxer. The brothers went on many adventures and heroic quests together through their life, as Geminis love to do. Some of the adventures they shared were St. Elmo's fire, the rescuing of Helen of Troy, and the Argonauts' quest for the Golden Fleece. The twins were known as the patron gods or guardian angels for sailors at sea, and Gemini is also associated with sailors. The twins were associated with two rival brothers who were also another set of twins. And the legend has it that they both fell for the same ladies and they fought for them. And Castor was killed in the battle. And after Castor died, Pollux could not live without his brother, and he begged Zeus to let him share his immortality with Castor. And he was even willing to give up his own mortality to be with his brother. After a long time, Zeus eventually agreed and placed him in heaven to live on as an immortal star together with his brother. And that's how the Gemini constellation came into existence. The word Gemini is Latin for the twins. The Gemini constellation lies between Taurus and Cancer in the northern hemisphere, north of the equator. Around February 1st is when Gemini reaches the highest point in the sky. The two brightest stars of Gemini, Castor, the Alpha Geminorum, and Pollux, the Beta Geminorum, represent the twins' heads. The rest of the Gemini constellation can be connected from the northwest to the southwest to form the bodies and the limbs of the two figures of the Gemini constellation. Pollux is 36 light years away from Earth. Castor is made up of 6 separate stars, and when viewed by a telescope, it looks like the 2 stars with a third star close by. These are actually 3 sets of double stars to equal 6. This represents the Gemini theme of duality, hence the name the twins. Doubles, or in this case, multiples. The Gemini constellation also consists of multiple other stars and can be best seen from Earth from December through March, around 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And it's most visible during mid-February. The Gemini meteors, which radiate from an area near Castor, reach their peak between December 12th and 14th. For thousands of years, sailors have used the Gemini constellation to navigate and find their way. Gemini is associated with good luck for sailors. The Gemini Glyph is 2 lines that are connecting to each other, and this signifies connecting the earth to the spiritual realm. It also signifies connecting men with women, and signifies the duality, which is the twins. It also means polarity, or yin and yang, and it also means doubles or multiples. The Gemini archetype of duality differs in different places of the world. In Greece, it was the goats, and in Arabia was the peacocks. Gemini is an air sign, and they must have variety and freedom to move around like air. And they have a youthfulness about them, no matter what their age. A little bit about Gemini personality traits. They have an ability to communicate and convey information clearly. They have the ability to create a space for people to communicate and share their views without judgment. And because of this, they make great journalists and reporters. And Gemini's mission is to learn lots of information on many different subjects and report what they've learned back to society. They're broadcasters, and they're good at making information simple for others to understand. Mercury, the messenger of the gods, who's Gemini's ruler. Gemini is a bridge between the earth and the spiritual realm. They have an intuitive knowing, an inner truth, connecting the divine, and the ability to relay that information to people on earth. And butterflies and dragonflies are also ruled by Mercury, Gemini, and butterflies are messengers. Butterflies and dragonflies are messengers from the spirit world. Mercury also rules the lower mind, or the monkey mind, which is the overthinking that sometimes Geminis They think so much, they have so many things on their mind at once. And Gemini's strengths, they're highly adaptable, flexible, curious, open, and highly intelligent, going deep into the knowledge of something and communicating what they find out with others. They're great multitaskers and have the ability, the gift of speech, the ability to make great speeches. They're funny, witty, charming, and they know just how to get their point across. Their shadow side, why do Geminis often get a bad rap of being superficial, fickle, scattered, and unreliable? They're considered the most misunderstood sign because of their duality. They have two sides to them. They often come across as fickle, but they're very open minded and they often see both sides of things without judgment, and they're non discriminatory. People see the duality of them having two sides, or them being fickle and not making a decision. Gemini, often seen as being superficial. Gemini is curious, loves to socialize and meet new people. Their curious nature and drive to meet new people is what motivates them. And all they need is to be meeting new people. And as an archetype, Gemini doesn't need to go too deep. That's why they're seen as superficial. They're more logical than emotional because Gemini's an air sign. They don't need to go deep. Now, keep in mind, this is an archetype to describe the Gemini, and we all have different variations. They're known for keeping things on a surface level, and they're often seen by others as superficial for that reason. As Gemini sees it, they like to keep things light, airy, and fun, and they don't like to make anyone feel uncomfortable or put them on the spot. So they like to keep things light, and they have a special way of creating space for people, which encourages them to communicate and share their views without being judged. Why are they seen as fickle? Well, they're non judgmental, seeing that there's two or more sides or viewpoints in many situations and accepting people as they are. They thrive on variety and they're often pulled in many directions at once. Not the most sensitive sign, light and airy approach, and they're more logical than emotional. They can excuse certain behaviors since they can often see things from many perspectives, and for this reason, people see them as fickle. Why do people think Gemini is scattered and unreliable? They're an air sign. They're highly adaptable to their environment. They can change their minds easily upon receiving new information, and for that reason, they can be seen as scattered or unreliable. They're great starters. They might not always have the ability to finish because they're always picking up on new information and new ideas, and they get excited for new ideas, and then they can become scattered. Gemini is also known as the jack of all trades and the master at none. Their opposite sign, Sagittarius, is great at mastering just one subject, where Gemini learns many things on many different subjects and is a great multitasker with many tools in their toolbox. They're skilled in many areas. They have such a wide focus, they sometimes tend to scatter their energy. They can easily get distracted and restless. They need grounding and to focus to feel stable and calm. And if Gemini can keep their hands busy, this can help to quiet the mind. Doing something like art, drawing, or painting, or working on various projects. Why is Gemini known as the trickster? Gemini is capable of hiding their true emotions at times so they can laugh out loud while crying on the inside. And Gemini is more of a mental than emotional sign, but sometimes they can get a glimpse of their emotions and not know how to deal with them. So they just feel them and they don't express them. And they're not trying to be tricky, they just are surprised by these emotions and they might even be embarrassed. So they just hold them in and They like to joke around and laugh because that distracts them from feeling those emotions. They're not really trying to be tricky. Why are Geminis called the chameleons? Geminis can blend into their environment. If they're at a rock concert, they love playing the part of someone who loves rock and roll, even if it's not naturally part of their nature. They enjoy going with the flow, blending with their environment like a chameleon. People often misunderstand this and see them as being insincere. A Gemini just loves to play a role, blend into their environment, loves to play the role as the imitator, and it's very natural to them. What does the Gemini's constellation mean? And what can we learn from Gemini and the twins, even if we're not Geminis? Duality nature of Gemini can show us that it's only natural to have a shadow side as well as a positive side. We can embrace and accept ourselves just as we are in a non-judgmental way. We all have duality within us, and Gemini shows us that we have light and dark. We can be social or withdrawn. We can be harmonious or have discord, positive and negative. And the Gemini duality shows us that we are deep and that not everything is as it appears on the surface. The Gemini constellation duality shows us to embrace our positive and negative or challenging traits. Gemini never judges. And an important message and lesson that we can all learn from Gemini is to love and accept ourselves just as we are, and to know that we are just as worthy as anyone else.